Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Yes, I am. I'm all of that and more. Look at the picture behind me. We're going to have a great conversation with one of my favorite dudes. His name is, of course, Martin Williams. Not Tiger Williams. Tiger's tomorrow. We got Martin. Just as much fun. I'll tell you what, double this fun, because I had an opportunity to play with him many years ago. I never got to play with him officially as a part. I would have loved to have a guy like him on my team. He was one of those hard-nosed, really talented players that you'd like to have, first, second line. He would have done wonders with McKay, Glazer, Mike Verriman, and you can see all the pictures behind us. We had just a great time. In 2003, my jersey was retired with a guy named Mark McKay, one of the best players, arguably the best players I'd ever played with, and made me a much better player. And Marvin Glazer, who's a natural goal scorer, and Klumpy. I didn't get to play with the gentleman behind us, but it was his retirement. And it was just a great time getting back there and doing all this sort of stuff. But in 2003, Martin was there when those jerseys in the back were hung. And what an honor. Small little rink, probably sits 1,500, but Martin knows back in those days, I'll tell you what, we had 2,500 people in that place and it was rocking. By the third period, you couldn't see the other side because there was so much smoke going on. So, hey, thank you for joining me on Gouche Live. Right after me, of course, we got Paul Rosen, the Rosen Report with Greg Westlake. We're really excited about that. And, this has all been brought to you by the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. And our good friends, where Paul is right now, Paramount Sports Management. Hey, listen, enough about me. What about you, Martin Williams?
Hey, Gooch. Hey, Canada.
Hey, listen, yeah, we're doing okay. Listen, I've learned a lot of things this week. And one of them is your first name is Laurent. I love it.
That's true, yeah.
Love it.
I never use it in Germany, but it is.
Fantastic. Laurent Martin Williams. I almost screwed it up a little bit because I was thinking of Tiger Williams, who we have yesterday. So I had to think there for a second. I know that you're not Tiger Williams because A, you're not as old, and B, I know you're a tough kind of player, but he leads everybody in the National Hockey League, even still today. And listen, tell us what's going on in Germany. We're excited to have you today. Obviously, it's Black History Month here for the National Hockey League. We've talked about this before. Obviously, with Martin Hune, you're very close to him. Hockey is diversity. It's a big deal, and I really want to get into that. But first, tell us about Germany, and then we'll get talking about your career.
Well, right now we're starting to open. The hairdressers are opening up on Monday. The kids go to school, well, from grade 1 till grade 6, the kids go to school back on Monday. And things are getting a little bit better, but they're talking about the third wave coming. The virus, they had a mutation from England, I think. And so everybody's kind of worried that might be a problem. But besides that, we're all hanging in there and hoping to get the hockey players back on the ice, me as a coach getting back on the ice, and getting the regular life back to normal. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, it's been challenging, right? I know I was supposed to come last year to your hockey school. Unfortunately, at that time, my mother was sick. I wasn't able to do that, or I think it was my sister, sorry. You do a lot for youth sports, of course, but you and I had the opportunity to play in a city, Timmendorfer Strand, and you played in Bad Nauheim. We actually did a charity event there with the Hanson brothers. I'm not sure you were there. What a great
for the Nauheim team.
That's right. I ran you a couple of times.
Guys, yeah.
Yeah, I fell down a lot, but I tried to hit you. Actually, I tried to catch you. But it's a fraternity, just like over here. Hockey is a family, and we've done a lot together to raise money for charities, and of course with Michelle Bertz, obviously in Timmendorf. But Bad Nauheim, it is a hockey town, right? Talk to us a little bit about your growing up as a young kid playing hockey, and then obviously moving on to the pros, obviously in Germany.
Well, Bad Nauheim is a town. I think back then we had about 35,000 people living there, and it's a hockey town. I think don't get me on it 100%, but as far as I know, Nauheim is one of the starting 6 or 7 teams in the German Bundesliga, like the first league. They started like the start, how they call it in Canada, the starting 6. That's the type of team Nauheim is. They started German hockey, but they haven't been in the first league for, I think, over 30, 40 years. But they played in the first league for many, many years. We had a lot of Americans here in Bad Nauheim, and stationed through the army. And I guess that's how the American influence came into Bad Nauheim. And that's how actually my grandpa, which is was a black American, came over and brought my dad over, and that's how he met my mom. And that's how I ended up in Bad Nauheim. I was born in the States, but we moved to Germany when I was 3.
So as you were growing up in hockey there, obviously it's Black History Month. You know the name Willie O'Ree, of course. Grant Fuhrer, I know you're a big fan of his. And it all started with Herb Carnegie, where Herb was not able to play in the National Hockey League. Jean Beliveau said he was one of the greatest players he had ever played with. So that's saying a lot when it's coming from that great man. But because of color, they didn't allow him to play in the National Hockey League. And it was Conn Smythe, believe it or not, that said, if I could find somebody to turn him white, I would pay $10,000 and sign him instantly, which is just absolutely disgraceful in itself. Did you ever experience while you were playing over in Germany any kind of racial? We know that racial issues are there. Yours and my good friend, Martin Hune, is certainly doing a great job, dealing with the racism, not only in ice hockey, but in all sports. Can you talk to us about that? Did you live that, or have you witnessed it?
Oh, can you hear me? Am I still on?
Hear you perfectly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well.
He's going in and out. Hey, listen, those signals are flying over or swimming across from Germany. So we'll give him a few seconds to come on. Martin is in Bad Nauheim, Germany. It's just outside of Frankfurt. I got to play some of my career there. Unbelievable city. He said it right. One of the original teams. They call it Original 6 here. Of course, they were one of the original 6 that started out in the Bundesliga, which would be our version of the NHL. And so I know that we've lost him for a few seconds. Please be patient. I really like to hear about his growing up, obviously being American, being over there at 3, playing his youth hockey there, and of course, advancing into all the pro leagues. We'll find out if he did experience any racial issues. And he's one of those fun-loving guys like Martin is, are you back, Laurent?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. My little brother just called me, and that's how my phone got messed up.
Yeah, no worries. So I was just telling you about telling everybody how great you are. So you continue, and all right, here we go.
Well, you were asking about my situation over here. Well, I started playing hockey really late when I was 12, which was really late. I turned pro between I was 17 and 18. There was not a black hockey player in Germany, Mario Gehrig. He's a little older than me. He was from Mannheim. And I was the only one in it, especially in Nauheim. I was the only black kid on the team, or a mixed kid. And actually, I was lucky that I've never really, really experienced racism. Okay, once in a while you hear somebody saying a stupid, I don't know, was swearing at me, but it wasn't that bad. I got lucky. I had always good teammates, and I played on teams where the guys were really supportive. So I never really had bad problems. Actually, I experienced when I was a pro once. I don't want to mention the name because this might ruin his career or whatever. But he dropped the N-bomb a couple times, and I'm not happy about it. But I had to kick his ass, and he never did it again.
Good for you. And he deserves it. Hey, listen, of course, over here, obviously with Black Lives Matter, you guys have been dealing with that. Martin has done an extremely good job. He just didn't start up. He's been doing this for years, as you know, that it's racial issues, more in soccer over there. And everybody knew not to do anything with you because you beat the living daylights out of them. So they were kind of scared of you. And we've just got a great comment coming right now from Brockman. Martin, über ein cooles Zeit gespielt hast du in Timmendorf. And we'll talk about Timmendorf in a few seconds. Of course, we got our European correspondent, which we're going to get back doing these German shows. Exactly, the reason is how great Tim Strutzler and Leon Draisaitl are doing in the National Hockey League. But he's also saying, do you think Bad Nauheim get to the playoffs this year? He's actually asking, they're playing. Do you get to go to see any of the games, or is it closed off?
So they call them ghost games. There's no fans. You can only watch them on the internet.
And are you able to watch some games or no?
Actually, I watched the last game. They just fired their coach, I think, a week ago.
Who's that?
Who was that?
Who's the coach?
It was a Finnish guy. I didn't even know him. But I think it wasn't his fault. They were just losing, and they had a hard time. They were in quarantine for quarantine. How do you call it in English? Quarantine. Quarantine, exactly.
Quarantine.
For the whole team was in it for I think 2 weeks, and they came back from that, and they were struggling really hard. And they lost pretty much every game, so they fired the coach, and the assistant coach took over. And they're starting to play a little bit better, but they're having a hard time this year. But nobody can move down a league this year, so it's no problem if they lose.
Yeah. All right. So obviously you're there in Bad Nauheim. You've obviously been put on hold because of COVID, because you were going to coach in a couple of places and it kind of got stalled. And then, of course, you do a hockey school helping kids out. Talk to us about the movement with Martin. Obviously, over here, we talked about some of the guys like Willie O'Ree, who was the actual first man of color or black player.
Yeah.
He did live through some of the hard racial slurs and stuff like that. And then, of course, moving forward, with Grant Fuhrer being the first black goaltender, he certainly made his way. What has it been like for Martin? I know you're part of that great organization, Hockey is Diversity. It's been around for almost 10 years. I know they've just signed a deal with Franz Reinl and the DEB, the German Ice Hockey Federation, to stop it. Yeah. We know from soccer, the black have been yelled at with, I won't even use the slurs, but ridiculous things that come out of their mouths. How have you been able to help Martin and that great group of people make sure that doesn't weed itself back into hockey? Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to play a pond hockey game this spring. I think it was supposed to be in March. And, because of Corona, we can't do it. I played in, I think, one game for him. I think it was Doug Murray's Remembrance game. And they supported that. And, it's a great organization. Every time I can do something for them, I'm always up for it. But I have to say, in German hockey, or my experiences in hockey, I never really experienced racism that bad. In Germany, in soccer, it's just my opinion. In soccer, it's pretty bad. The fans, it happens a lot, and between the players, I think it happens a lot. But in German hockey, racism is not really a big issue. In my opinion.
So let's talk about the fact that you obviously follow American sports while you're over there. Do you see, obviously, the Black Lives Matter. I don't have to, we won't go deep into that, but obviously it was a movement that had worldwide attention, of course. Did you feel any of that? Was that something that was big with you? And obviously we saw the things that are happening. Did it affect you guys at all over there?
Well, it was a big issue over here that matters, and with let me call it idiot Donald Trump, the things he said and how he treated people. Yeah. And everybody talked about it. It's a big thing, and I think the German mentality, a lot of people started to think about it because, if you're white, if you live in Germany and there's not that many colored people, you're not really involved in the situation and the subject. And through that Black Lives Matter organization and in the United States, which pretty much was all of a sudden all over the world, people started to think a little different. And I think it changed a lot. And then guys like Martin Hune, he does just like you said, amazing job. And he opens people's eyes. And
And it's education, right? We have to, you as you know, when we're in the dressing room, I never saw color. I never saw race. And certainly didn't even, we had East Germans, we had Czechs, we had Finns. The Finns like to party and drink a lot, so I'll put that out there right away. The Swedes, Switzerland. It opened my eyes to more more races that I played in, and I never noticed that. I just played the game. You were my teammate, and I know that you were a big part of that too. Michael Tucker, all the way from Adelaide, Australia, saying hello. Great to have you on board. Listen, back to Shoppy. He says, the young kid, Marvin Ratman from Bad Nauheim, of the L2 team, played last night, his first game for Kelowna, and scored. Do you know the name?
Yeah. Well, I've seen him once or twice downtown, and I think he was there last year as well. And I heard about him. I don't know him personally, but I heard he's a pretty good talent. So yeah, good for him. Congratulations.
All right. So Jan is coming on here. I apologize for my German because I don't really understand. Martin, ich meint auch Natalie Zeit, als du Trainer warst in Timor. Were you the coach of Natalie Zeit?
What's his name?
The girl. Did you coach the kids teams up there?
Oh yes, I did. I coached the third league team, and
okay, there it is.
I was coaching the kids.
Well, yeah. Fantastic. Thanks, Jan, for doing that. You were actively involved, even as you were playing, as you know, Mark and Marvin and I did it too. We were, I think we got a picture, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to pull it up. You were, as we were, very heavily involved with Timmendorf hockey because they really wanted to be, they were called the Beach Boys, and living there on the beach was kind of fantastic. I think this is the picture. The one behind me was for Kulpi's retirement. I think this is our retirement. And do we see you in the back there?
I think that was
yeah. There you are. There you are.
Yeah.
I see you. So that was November 29th, 2003. And when we get back, there he is. Look at the youngster. Hey, what the heck happened? Did you take your helmet off?
I think so.
You had hair there. You had hair. Hey, listen, let's talk about obviously German hockey now, ice hockey as they call it. Obviously, you know, mentioning the name Marvin Ratman, but of course we've got Leon Draisaitl. We've had, as you know, a lot of great players. Marco Sturm. The list is just large. Kolzig, goaltender, Olaf Kolzig. You know, obviously we've had tremendous, and I call him but I'm not German, but I really, 16 years of my life was spent there, and I was part of the ice hockey community and the family. Talk to us about what you see now. Obviously, we've seen the Leon Draisaitl factor. It's been enormous. But Tim Strutzler, Leon Draisaitl played over here, so it gave him an opportunity to learn the game. But Tim Strutzler, my goodness. Talk to us about him and any other kids that you know are coming through, because Germany's in very good health right at this moment when it comes to hockey.
Yeah. Well, Tim Strutzler, he comes out of Mannheim, and Mannheim is probably the best minor organization in Germany. And the good thing for him was that he played with the pros, with the DEL team, the first German league team, for a year almost, or a little longer. And that's why he now is playing with men, and he knows how to play men hockey. And we have a lot of good organizations. Mannheim is really good. Düsseldorf is really good. Eisbären Berlin have a really good organization. Then there's the Red Bull organization in Salzburg, which is Austria, but they work together.
He's back. Looks like we're having a little bit of trouble with there you are. I think you're back. You're back.
What was the last thing you heard?
I don't know, but Salzburg, but you got to get better. We're going to get you better Wi-Fi. We'll send you one from Canada.
Yeah. Actually, I'm at a hotel right now. I'm using their Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll blame them for it.
Not ready yet.
Hey, so talk to us about, we were talking about obviously all the different Salzburgs, and you mentioned Stutzler being from Mannheim. He's actually from Krefeld. He played in the Krefeld organization with Elmer Schmitz.
League. Mannheim, as I know,
Yeah, that's where, absolutely. And so your thoughts on what's next? Franz Reindl took the organization over and has really brought the DEB, the DEL, and all the youth factors together. right?
Yeah.
Which has been a big part of that. And they've got coaches like yourself who have played the game and understand it. What do you see in the future for German ice hockey? Obviously, having Draisaitl and Strutzler leading the way. Reichel, a young kid, Peterka also is coming up under, they'll be here, if not at the end of this year or for sure next year. Talk to us about the future of German ice hockey.
Well, the German hockey has improved a lot because they kind of changed the system. Like let's say every first league team has to have 2 top coaches with the top license. Like we have 3 types of coaching license: A and B and C license. A license is the highest license. Every team or every hockey program has to have 2 A license coaches. As far as I know, 2 B license coaches. So the coaches have to be more qualified than they've been in the past. I'm not saying they were not qualified, but you really have to go through a long studying process to get your C, B, and A license, which improved it a lot. Then we're trying to get way more kids on the ice to try out to play hockey, and there's way more coaches on the ice. Back when I played, we never had more than 1 coach on the ice. Right now, I'm coaching on the ice sometimes with 5 or 6 coaches, and that's just a big change because you can individually work way harder or better with the kids, and that makes a big difference. And we're trying to adapt or adjust to the level of Canada, the United States, Russia, Czech, how they're doing it. And I guess everybody's watching what Canada's doing in their minor program, and we're just adapting to it.
Yeah, but you also know that Germans are tremendous athletes. Obviously, they have soccer. I always say the top 3 sports in soccer in Germany is soccer, soccer, and soccer. Like people watch a 4th division game before they watch a hockey game. So we must realize that the Germans are naturally good players. Obviously, the influx of people like yourself, obviously imports like myself, but all these other great like Marks and the players from the past some of them have stayed there and helped coach the game. So we're really seeing an influx, and Germany's started to have its own style. It's not built on the Americans or the Canadians anymore. It's really built on kind of a mishmash of all of the sports, and you can attest to that too. There's a big difference between learning hockey in Canada on the ice surface versus learning the hockey, say in Timmendorf. The rink behind us is Olympic size, and I was in an even smaller than the NHL. Tell us about that, because there is a difference, right, in learning how to play hockey on a larger ice surface than a smaller one.
Well, I would say that, definitely the Canadian size or American size hockey rinks, the ice is smaller, so that's why the game used to be way faster. But through the last couple of years, or let's say the last 10 years, the Germans have learned how to keep the speed up even on a big rink. And if you can take it from a big rink to a small rink and keep up the same speed, I think that makes a difference. And we're back when I played, we're doing more drills for like say the whole line with like 3 forwards, 2 defensemen. Now it's more on skills. There's a lot of power skating. There's stick handling skills. Off ice, they're doing more agility stuff, and that makes a big change over here.
Yeah. So obviously coaching is getting better. You have to update the credentials every year, as Val is saying too. That's really important. And so there's a progression, because when I was over there, of course, it was just, if you had a clipboard and a pen, you were a coach. So it's great to see that they've really advanced it. Listen, before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit back to Black History Month. Here it's a big, big month. I'm one of those people that believe that why does it need to be a month? It should be always. It's like, I know we have, it's Cancer Day or Cancer Month. We get mental health. We were doing mental health Mondays, but mental health doesn't take Tuesdays off, right? So we shouldn't take months off. Do you feel enough's being done in the sporting world and in life in general to challenge the facts of racism? You did mention we're not a political show, but we will mention, obviously, in the United States, it has been very to the forefront over the last 3 to 4 years. Do you think there'll be a tempering, a calming of the nerves when politicians kind of lay themselves down and let the people make the influence?
Well, I think it shouldn't even be called, I might get a shitstorm now, or my black family in the United States get pissed off, but I think it shouldn't even be called Black History Month. It should be against racism or month or year.
Yeah.
There's not only black racism against black. There's so much racism against women, white, green, yellow, whatever you call them.
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
And if you want to talk about, well, for sure there was the slavery and whatever. There is racism, but there's racism in all kind of different kind of shapes. So there should be, I would call it, let's say racist months or whatever, or against racist months, instead of just specifically black. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no question, and I think you're right. I don't think anybody's going to challenge you, Martin. Everybody knows your intentions, and that racism is every color. And I think we really need to step it up. And I think as we move forward, with this pandemic, I think people have had a little bit more time to go think inwardly. And I'm just hoping when we come out of this, we are a nice human race than we were when we went into this thing. Shoppy's just making a comment. Schwinnigan now has a small rink, I think he's meaning. The games are more intensive. Thank you for that, Shops. Really look forward to having you back on the program. Right after this, don't forget, we've got the Rosen Report. Greg Westlake is with Paul. They're going to be talking everything Olympics and, of course, para hockey. As we let you go, your favorite team used to be Mario Lemieux. I had to let you know that he was actually retired. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Has anybody influenced you to change teams?
Well, Draisaitl impressed me pretty much, and actually the way Strutzler plays, it's fun to watch him. So right now, I'd probably say Ottawa and Edmonton.
All right, I'm still waiting for my number 18 Ottawa jersey to show up. I think they lost it in the mail. But also, in Edmonton, another really quality kid, Dominic Cahoon, is there. And he played well the other night. I think he's just finding himself with Draisaitl. I'll tell you what, the German national team, when it gets together, is going to be a team to reckon with. And I'll tell you what, you have to take some of the compliment for that, Martin, as you've stayed and worked hard with the kids in the youth programs, and you doing hockey schools, along with Peter Flesch, also out of Regensburg. You guys are doing an amazing job. Last word to you, bud.
Well, I hope everybody stays healthy, and we get to get back together so we can have a beer once sooner or later, either in Germany or in Canada.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be doing some stuff together. As I mentioned to you, I'm going to be doing a Legends tour. We're going to bring it back, a bunch of the old guys, and we're going to tour. Once we're out of here, we're going to go to Timmendorf. We'll go to Bad Nauheim, Munich, all those type of great places. I've already spoken to the DB. They like the idea. Everything old is new. So, we got gray hair. We're losing hair. But I'll tell you what, we still have the passion, the love for the game, and nobody has it better than you. And thank you, Val. Pull that back up. Look at that. He used some of the, I bet you this was Google translation. Danke, dass du heute zu uns kommen bist, Martin. Ich freue mich auf der Ruf. Ich darf. Weiter zu haben. Yeah, it's okay. He's saying it's great to have you here. There it is in English. Thank you for joining us, Martin. Looking forward to having you back, and we will as we go forward. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Williams, one of my favorites. Thank you for taking time. Thank you for explaining to us a little bit of the history on the racism that has been suffered in German, more in soccer, and of course the great work that you're doing with Martin Hune. I love Martin Hune, and I look forward to having him on. You are king. See you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care.
Love you, King. Bye, bud. LaRon Martin Williams. I love that first name, LaRon. Listen, quality kid. Obviously helped many teams along the way. Bad Nauheim was a star. Up in Timmendorf, a star. But not so much would he be one of those guys that let it go to his head. He was always there for the fans. Took time to make sure that everybody was happy throughout the games and stuff. He'd spend hours signing autographs. That is LaRon Martin Williams, and we're so fortunate to have him on. Hey, listen, we're changing channels now. We're going to go over and see Paul Rosen. Rosie's got a great guest, as you know, with Greg Westlake. But do not forget, tomorrow we've got Dave Tiger Williams with us at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a great interview. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. His internet froze. literally froze. So we're going to be talking to him about this picture right here. There he goes, riding the stick. Obviously started in Vancouver. So we're looking forward to having him. And then on Saturday, it's our usual Talking with Taylor. We got some great things coming up. Val and James, we've come up with some good ideas starting next week with our shows. We're going to do some fun things together. And the final part is Sunday. Do not miss it. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Dave Arigio. Yes, he's the guy that does the painting of the masks. And he does these incredible artistry for the Hockey Hall of Fame. Do not miss it. Sunday. All right. Thank you for joining us on Gouche Live. You've been watching this with the Hockey News, Sports Illustrated, and of course, Paramount Sports Management, where we're going next with Paul Rosen and the Rosen Report. Good night.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gouche, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.